Happy day, students. Today we are going to read something interesting from Class 8 English Grammar. We are going to revise worksheet 6. What are we going to do in this? We are going to revise finite and non-finite verbs, infinitives and gerunds, and debate. Finite and non-finite verbs. We are going to look at what is called as finite verb and what is called as non-finite verb. So if you look at verb is divided into finite and non-finite. Non-finite is further classified into infinitives, gerund and participles. Now, what are finite and non-finite verbs? So finite verbs depend on person, number, subject and tense. Non-finite verbs do not depend on person, number, subject and tense. That is, the finite verbs can change according to the person, number, subject and tense. But the non-finite verbs do not change according to the number, subject or tense. Okay, they remain the same. Finite verbs are verbs which act as a main verb that can be changed according to the noun. It is used only in present and past tense. Can be indicative of passive or active voice and also of number, that is singular or plural. She walks home. Here we can see that the finite verbs is walks, that is simple present. The pronoun is she. She walked home. So here we can see the verb has changed or modified itself according to the tense of the sentence, where walks has become walked. So simple present has become simple past. If you look at the examples, you promised me the last ticket. I am excited about going to the amusement park. So these are the different examples of finite verb. Non-finite verb cannot be the main verb as they do not talk about the action that is being performed by the subject or the noun. They do not indicate any tense, mood or gender. They are used as nouns, adverbs and adjectives. They are used to form non-finite clauses which are simply dependent clauses that use non-finite verb. If you look at the gerunds and infinitives that we spoke about are non-finite verbs. Do you fancy going out? I like swimming. We enjoyed their singing. These are examples of gerunds. And infinitives are I decided not to go to New York. I'd rather not eat meat. If you look at the finite verbs, a verb which is limited by the number or the person of its subject and also of the tense of the subject. The form of verb depends on its subject very clearly. Example, they play football. He plays football. You are playing. She was playing. So you can see the different kinds of sentences where if the subject is plural, the verb is also plural. If the subject is singular, the verb is also singular. It also is initiated by a finite form, that is a verb that changes according to the tenses or subject. I loved you. Tommy loves Laura. The girls love fairy tales. You can see the verb as it has been changing. If it's singular, it is loved. If it's a general sentence where Tommy loves Laura, plural. Here the girls are plural, but the verb is singular, love. So it changes according to the person or gender or the tense. Non-finite verb do not change their form even if the person or the number of the subject changes, but it remains the same. For example, they want to eat something delicious. She wants to eat something delicious. So they is plural, she is singular. Still, the non-finite verbs remains the same. He wants to play football. They want to play football. So it remains the same. It does not change. If you look at the other example, here they act as noun, adjective or adverb. The sleeping dog snored peacefully. Sleeping is adjective which is describing the dog. Snored peacefully. So you can look at the adjective which is the present participle there. The washed car looked like new. So washed again is an adjective which describes the car. So these are the examples of non-finite verbs. Now if you look at finite versus non-finite, finite verbs forms, it acts as a verb. Non-finite do not act as a verb. Finite verbs acts as a main verb in a sentence or a clause. Non-finite do not act as a main verb, but they act as nouns, adjectives and adverbs. Finite verbs indicate number, person and tense. Non-finite verbs do not indicate number, person and tense. Finite verbs are used in the present tense and past tense. Non-finite verbs are infinitives, gerunds and participles. Look at this table clearly. Read it again and again. It is definitely going to get registered in your mind so that you will have a better understanding of finite verbs and non-finite verbs. So what are the different types of non-finite verbs? The infinitive, gerund and participles. Let us look at it one by one. The infinitives. It is a non-finite verb. It is generally preceded by the word to. Okay, it is a verb that is used like a noun, adjective or adverb. If the infinitive is it is used as a noun, then it is called as a simple infinitive, and if it's used as an adjective or an adverb, it is called as gerundial. So if you look at the use of infinitives with to and enough, he is too weak to move. She is old enough to get married. I'm just giving you general examples here. Use of infinitive with WH words. Okay. So just look at how it is being used here. I don't know what to say. Tell me where to go. I wonder who to call. Do you know how to swim? So these are the different kinds of WH words which you can use infinitives. Now what is gerund? Gerund is an ing form of verb which is used as a noun, or it is called as verbal nouns. When we looked at the infinitives, it preceded with to. Gerunds end with ing. So if you look at the examples, running is a good way to keep fit. The boys were tired of running. He seemed to be interested in fighting. I like reading books. So if you look at the verbs here, everything ends in ing. So you can easily make out the gerundial form, isn't it? And the participle here is, a participle is that form of the verb which has characteristics either of an adjective and a verb. Okay, the participles can be of three types: present, past and perfect. So if you look at all the three examples that I have given you in the screen, present participle is your present form with verb and ing. So if you look at the present participle which ends with ing and represents an action as going or incomplete, it's happening, okay, it is ongoing and the action has not been completed, you will use the present participle. For example, we met a girl carrying a basket of flowers. So you are still seeing that girl, okay, and you met the girl, she would have been still carrying the basket of flowers. So the action is not yet completed. Okay, it was a tiring journey. The blind man, thinking all was safe, tried to cross the road. The blind man, thinking all was safe, tried to cross the road. So here you can see the action is incomplete. Okay. So here in present participle, you are going to use the first form of verb plus ing. The past participle, if you see, you are going to use third form of verb, and is usually it ends in ed, d, en or n. It indicates the completion of a task. Okay, present participle don't indicate. Here they indicate completion of a task in the past. Hence they are called as past participle. She looks tired. The candidate selected for this post is my brother. Driven by hunger, he stole an apple. The house was burnt. He gave a written complaint. So it talks about an action in the past. And perfect participle is the participle which indicates ending of a task, and after that the starting of a new task. So here it not only talks about a task which has ended, but also the starting of a new task. So here if you see, you have having plus past participle, or having been plus past participle. Okay, if you look at the examples, having finished my work, I went to the market. Having passed the examination, he prepared for the interview. Having completed his project, he went for the picnic. So the first part of the sentence tells you about the completion of the task, and the second part tells you the beginning of a new task. So that is called as perfect participle. Hope it's clear, children. So here are the examples of infinitives and gerund that I have just given you. Infinitives are to do, gerund are doing. As I told you, infinitive it precedes with to, gerund ends in ing. So if you look at the afterwards, these are the different examples that I have given you, that you can have a look while you are going through the infinitives and the gerund. And if you see here, you have verbs infinitive and verbs gerund. So what are the different verbs which can come under infinitive and what are the different verbs that can come under gerund? So this will give you an idea about how you can use your infinitives and gerunds. Now, hope the grammar topic is clear. You can go through the table once again to have a better understanding of it. Now let us talk about debate. What is a debate? It is an organized argument or contest of ideas in which the participants discuss a topic from two opposing sides. So debate is when two or more people are discussing a topic and they have difference of opinion and they are talking or arguing on it. When they discuss the ideas, like if four of us are talking on a topic and if all of us have same idea or we have the same thinking and a thinking or whatever we talk about matches, that's not called as a debate, that's a discussion. But here when you have a topic and you have two opposite sides, one talks for it, one talks against the topic, that's called as a debate. So here they will use their examples and evidence to support their ideas while working towards conclusion. So, if we have four people and two are talking for the topic and the other two are talking against the topic, we will try to use examples or we'll try to use certain evidence to support that what we are talking, whether it is for or against it. We want to make it clear that what we are talking is right, and we conclude saying that what I believe in is right by using examples and evidences. The aim of the debate is to convince the opposition that you are right. Whether you're right or wrong is a different issue, but you try to convince the opposition that whatever you're saying is right. Rules for the debate are a motion, that is a topic or a discussion. A speaker acting as a moderator. So when you're talking, especially for a debate, you need a neutral person who acts as a moderator. One team of proposers who will present a speech. So the first team who talks for the motion, they will present the speech. One team of oppositions who will also present a speech. So the opposition will talk about the same topic but against it. A vote to decide the winner of the motion. So you may have audience who would finally decide who has won. Probably depends upon how you convince the audience, how you convince the opposition, what kind of examples do you use. So it all depends upon how you argue or discuss. If you are going to be a proposer or an opposer of a motion, it is important that you listen well to the contribution of others. So first you have to listen to what others are saying, okay, with arguing your point. That is very important. This is so that you are able to do the following. So you should first summarize what has already been said, build on what has been said with new points. So you can use the summarized points or points that has been discussed, add up to it and come up with new points. Okay, then you can counter points made by the opposition with your own points. Counter is to argue with the points again which are made by the opposition. And you should be a good listener, which is very important as being a good speaker while communicating with people. I've been telling this in the class regularly that you should be a good listener when you're a good speaker, isn't it? So always remember that. So debate is nothing but a discussion which takes place between two or more people based on a topic where the first party can be or can discuss for the topic and the other party, which is the opposition party, can discuss against the topic. I hope you have understood the meaning of debate and what are the rules for general debate. Thank you, students. So please go through the grammar topics. Please go through the video again. Read all the guidelines that are given in your grammar book to have a better understanding of the topic. Thank you.